Hey, what's up, guys? What's up, Fight One fans, Fight One world, Fight One Goose in the house. Right now, we just pulled over to Peter Quillin's house, former champion at middleweight. We're actually gonna do something different in terms of inspirational, tapping into your spiritual, and also for him to help me figure out more about myself. Many of you know him as a boxer, former world champion. He's from Detroit, came to New York, and he's learning the hard way, you know. Being also having a background of Cuban, I must say, like, following his story and also seeing the progress and also the downfalls and going back up to the top. Honestly, like, I revere this person dearly, a good friend of mine. So he personally invited us to his house, outside his house, you know, due to COVID-19. So I want to thank Peter Quillin. I know he's not going to see this video until the vlog is up or when it's now. So yeah, we're going to see what's going on right now, guys. So stay tuned, guys. Love you guys. Peace. Guys, Fight One Gus here with my boy Peter Quillin. What's going on, Peter? How's everything, bro?
What's up, baby boy?
There you go, guys. So listen, real quick, we're actually about to do a segment right now in regards to just finding, you know, in other words, he's going to help me find my inner fate. Fate is really big in life. And I feel like, you know, if you could tap into your spiritual side, fate, and better your mentality, I think that you could be a more productive person in life. And a primary example, someone that I look up to, I revere as a person, I mentioned in my video, Where's in My Car, Peter is a testimony to that. You know, he's done a lot of great things outside of boxing. And I want you guys to see this segment coming up with him just for inspirational. You know, he's a man of God. He believes in God. And one thing that I love about him is that he respects everybody's opinion. You know, can people be wrong? Can people be right? That's how life is. But if we could sit down and have a conversation to kind of share the experience, that's what life is really about. So people that aren't a big believer in fate or God, that's okay. We don't want you to, you know, we will love you for you guys too, but it's okay if you guys believe in something else, another religion and whatnot. But specifically for this interview and this conversation we're about to have is what he believes in, and he's going to apply it to help me out to be a better person in life moving forward for the next chapter. So hopefully you guys tune in the whole video and hope you guys appreciate it more. Any words, Peter?
Stay tuned. We coming right now with you.
What's up, guys? Fight One Gus, Peter Quillin, former middleweight champion of the world. Hey, champ. Thank you for the time. I actually do want to take this time to figure out more about myself from the internal aspect and external aspect. So hopefully you could kind of help me out and tap into those new potentials for this new journey, champ. So what are some suggestions or any thoughts that you can share with us and for myself and for the fans?
All right, let's first let me and him say a prayer right now.
Okay.
Lord God, we just ask you to speak to us. Use this time wisely for us to be able to know things that you want us to know, Lord. Reveal yourself, Lord, most importantly, what you're doing with the world. We pray this name in Jesus Christ, we pray, amen. I say the first thing I would do is, like, let's pray and be thankful for all the circumstances that we're in, and including this time. So I think, you know, the most helpful way about a belief system, it kind of steer you out of the way from a collision, or how to handle a collision, or all these different things. So I think, you know, being on the spiritual path, enlightening yourself, because that's what you become enlightened with, desire. So I'm going to give you some 3 keys that you or anybody that's listening can use to help their spiritual grow in God through the Bible and how it's used. And that's what we want to go into today. Okay. So I want you to take notes, and we're going to read some Bible verses. Yep.
Yes.
And we're going to read the Bible verses. And maybe I ask you how you feel and what you understand from that Bible verse.
Perfect. I'm down for that.
Okay. So I would say the first key is focus your relationship with God.
Your relationship with God. Okay. Got you. Okay.
All right. Now we're going to go to John 15:15, right? It says, I no longer call you servants, because servants don't know their master, what their master is doing. But now I'll call you friends, because I have told you everything that my Father told me. So we learning right when he's sending this, is like we receiving information about what God is doing.
Okay.
Right? This is what this verse is talking about. So I would say focus on your relationship with God. But most importantly, I don't think you should ever study God without asking questions. Correct. You should be able to have a question. So I want you to write one question today.
Any question? Oh,
Now I'm gonna make a
okay.
question for you, right?
Okay.
All right. How can I make more time for God in my life?
For anybody asking my penmanship, I was really horrible at school, guys. That's all right. Okay. Yeah.
All right. So I want you to do something this week. Something that I want you to think about those relationships. What helps you grow with that person or that relationship, right?
Mm-hmm.
And instead of taking that time with that person, I want to take the same time. Let me get you an example. If like taking a walk with your friend, talking about certain things, I want you to get out your house today and take a walk with God.
Cool. Okay.
So now we're going to go to the second key. The second key is pray for growth.
Pray for growth. Okay.
You know, we got to pray for the growth. And I'm going to tell you to go to Matthew 7, chapter 7.
Matthew 7. Mm-hmm. Chapter
Verse 7 through 11. And I'm going to go read it up for you.
through 11. Gotcha.
I'm going to read it for you so you can get it. 7 through 7. Continue to ask, God will give to you. Continue to search, and you will find. Continue to knock, and the door will be open. Yes, whoever continue to ask will receive. Whoever continues to look will find. Whoever continues to knock will have the door open for them. Do any of you have a son? If you ask for bread, if he asks for bread, would you give him a rock? Or if he asks for a fish, would you give him a snake? Of course not. You people are so bad that you still know how to give good things to your children. So surely your heavenly Father will give good things to those who ask him. All right, so now, but I said without doing that, it's like you have to ask your question.
Okay.
Wow, right?
Mm-hmm.
Do I really believe, you gotta ask yourself, do I really believe,
Yeah.
right, that God wanna give good things to me?
That God wants to give me good things. Gotcha.
And I want you to write down what might help me to be thankful in all your circumstances in your life, even in a battle.
What will help me with circumstances? Gotcha. Okay.
All right, so now I got that out the way. I said, sorry.
No, it's all right.
So now I want you to do something this week with this one, is I want you to go ask somebody that you know got a relationship with God, and ask them, have they ever prayed for growth, and what would happen? What happened to them after?
Okay.
So ask them to share that story with them, when they're praying for growth. Anything about allowing you to grow in your spiritual life or growing in your life as a person that you are, part of the boxing community. Great content all the time. Good person. That's probably why I open my house to you, because I feel like you're a good person, and information that we sharing together is really useful for one of us. So it's not a mutual, it's a mutual relationship, because a parasitic relationship is that only one host, only one of the things gets supplemented for what they need, and that's blood. So one animal basically takes from the other without the other one benefiting from the other. You know what I'm saying? So when we have friendships, we want to have mutual friendships like this, where you can share into knowledge, share things, share love. You know what I mean? So we sharing the things that we find the agreements that bring us together and keep us closer to God.
Just to add on what Peter was saying, a great point. Sometimes people that are going to be tuning this new channel, mostly for now boxing fans, but I want to do them a little bit outside. It could be individuals that are 5-year-olds, 15-year-olds, 20-year-olds, 50-year-olds, 85-year-olds. So I want them to be part of this family, this movement, where it just is not strictly a sport. In other words, Peter does things outside of boxing, like what he's doing right now. He loves it, and you could tell by the way he's articulating himself. It's coming from the real, he's inside. He's sharing wisdoms to me that maybe I haven't seen yet, or maybe I have, but maybe he's elaborating it a little more. So hopefully you guys could also write down your questions on the comment below, and ask you, number one, focus on your relationship with God. Answer that question. Number two, pray for your growth. And he mentioned, do I really believe that God wants to give me good things? Like, ask yourself that question, guys. Like, what's the purpose in life? And I would love for you guys to comment below these 3 responses, and hopefully we have similar responses or different responses. And Peter will be along this way sharing, the knowledge and experience he's been through. Definitely. You got number 3?
I got number 3.
Okay.
Number 3 key. We're gonna give them the 3 key, and it's gonna be the last key. This should get you enough keys to open the door that you're trying to open in your life. You understand? You're just trying to open doors in your life.
Yeah.
So I would say memorize and meditate on God's word.
Memorize and meditate on God's words. Okay.
I'm gonna go to 1 Joshua.
1 Joshua.
1 and chapter 1 Joshua chapter 8.
Chapter 8?
Yes.
Okay, chapter 8.
All right. Remember, it said, always remember what is written in the law, the book of law. Speak about that book and study it day and night. Then you can be assured to obey what is written there. If you do this, then you will be wise and successful in everything you do. Come on, can you tell me that don't sound so good? Always remember what is written in the book of law. Speak about that book and study it day and night. Then you will be sure to obey what is written there. And if you do this, you will be wise and successful in everything in life, everything you do.
In contrast or in similarities, right? Peter, and an example, and say if I'm wrong, right? That little phrase, the phrase itself, reminds me of what you've been through in boxing, where it's like you dedicate yourself in and out. People don't even know about this, but you used to work in IHOP.
Yes.
And you didn't let that stop you, though. You had a mission intact, and you was willing to do everything. You was willing to do anything to make that dream become to reality. For me, it was like 2017. Depression. Most of you guys know about my depression. I was suicidal. I was 200 pounds, and I didn't know what was the purpose. Once upon a time, I was questioning myself if God and fate had something bigger for me, not just working 9 to 5. And gladly, in today's time, I do work a regular job, but it's something that I'm okay with it because it's something that I'm helping, impacting other lives. And also I have the time to kind of figure myself even more, because as humans, I get to say I'm vulnerable, but it's okay to be vulnerable.
And we make mistakes.
And it's
but
okay.
Can I tell you something about your mistakes?
Yeah.
What's more important about making mistakes in life is taking ownership.
Yeah.
As long as you're willing to take ownership for mistakes that you made, and you want to take yourself to, work on towards. In my phone, I'm waiting for you to come back here.
Okay.
So, like I was saying, this is important. And when I say meditate on God's word, so I want you to ask yourself this question.
Okay.
How can I find myself to be in circumstances in life?
Yeah.
How can I build more opportunities in my life to meditate on the scriptures?
More opportunities.
Now I'll tell you one thing I want you to do when you do all these. I gave you 3 keys, right? And the last thing I want you to do is basically that go with that key is basically when you in the word and you reading the words in the Bible, because it's sometimes hard to read the Bible, but I want you to pray about a verse that you can find, learn about the verse, and learn to memorize it, and take that tape and learn in your life how to apply that verse that you read. Because I got a Bible verse. It says, "That is no temptation that's over you that's not common to any other person. But God is faithful. He will always give you the way and escape that you may be able to endure any temptations." Meaning, like, I think our only worry is not to be getting killed or dying. I think we dying in sin is the most worst thing that can happen to us. So I think we have to die with peace and dignity, gratitude, all those things. So I would tell anybody that more than anything, it's about, reflecting the beliefs that I have. So how you gonna reflect beliefs that you don't know? You traditionally, growing up, regardless if you look at it from my standpoint, if I say my traditions in my family was teaching me how to cheat on my wife, not to respect women, or marry a woman that never hugged my kids. These are the things I experienced growing up. My mom never hugged me. my dad was a cheater and being horrible to my mother, so I didn't have good examples. But no matter what, those traditions that was taught, shown to me, if I seen it with my eye, it was a tradition. It's like things that we hold on to. Now it's like my dad had 4 different women, with kids with 4 different women, and my brothers start falling. I'm the only one in my family don't have. I have my kids with the same woman. Not to say I'm using that for joy, but I'm saying when you start carving out to make better decisions, these are the kind of decisions that you can do to break curses and chains that's on you, that's holding you back to become a true man with purpose. It's nothing more dangerous in life than a man with true purpose. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
True purpose in life is the one that's creating vaccines, that's making the world go round. This what that is. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. I wanted to mention too, because I think one of my biggest fears as growing up, right? I was a kid. I didn't learn how to speak until I was 4 years old, and maybe that was due to the social factors in my life. My family, I was the first generation, and on my mom's side, I'm the oldest, being born in this country. They're immigrants at the time, and I didn't have that social interactions to kind of, I guess, explore the world, communicate with somebody my age and my peers until I went to med school. And I think that's where I broke out. I come back here, experience a little bit of everything in American society, the bullying and whatnot, and maybe the stigmas of people be like, oh, you're an ugly kid, or who's gonna like you? And as a little kid, that could be very traumatizing. So you say to yourself, like, is this true? Like, am I really like this person that people say? And make the story short, I turned 13, I started losing weight, I started getting fit, and as you say, girls, whatnot. And I remember the moment I started growing up, from 13 to 21, I was so used to having a group of people around me all the time, like, and I thought it was good, but I felt like it was harm in a way, because I didn't give myself time to be alone, and I used to misinterpret alone and lonely a lot, and that's where that depression came later.
So would you consider that, because we was talking about this earlier with my friend, you consider that social anxiety?
In retrospect, or in right now?
I mean, like right now, would you look at that as a social ill? Like if you long to, like, cause like you was born in this world alone, right, by yourself, right? But why is the alone time so dangerous for us? Why, like, usually I know what you're talking about when you say alone, being alone, you start building up the depression. Because I got to the point where I felt nothing but alone, and I needed some type of something I was seeking that was going to take away that loneliness, that lonely feeling. And it's hard to find that in life, because you think it'll come with a person, and guess what? You make a decision and get in a relationship with a girl that you're not meant to be with.
And that's a perfect example you was mentioning. Like I was, that's why I was kind of differencing lonely and alone, because anybody could be alone, and sometimes alone, even for me, I got used to being alone, but it took me that reality check to say to myself, like, for me, once upon a time, like, I need to be with somebody to hear me out, and I can't be alone, because then I feel like nobody's hearing me out. But then when you take the time to kind of reflect and kind of reestablish yourself and find a purpose in life and what you want to do in life, then at the end of the day, when you have a foundation or mission you're wishing to seek, then you kind of start making your creativity into reality, and nothing can stop you but yourself in terms of making those dreams come true. And that's where my other channel, AB Boxing News, came in play. And now you tell me, does it bother being alone? It doesn't bother me being alone. I don't mind being alone, because at the end of the day, I have one mission and task, it's just to share a story. And what you're sharing with me, and people, hopefully they get to see all this content, is that we are all the same. You know what I mean? And one of the things that I've always seen in life was like, you're short, you're this skin color, or I'm Mexican, you're Cuban. Like, at the end of the day, we all share something in common.
Yeah, but people, that thing what we got in common is like, that thing that we looking for in common, right, is that perspective. That's all it is. It's like we all different because we got all different perspectives. Which person can give me a perspective that I'll be okay and make a decision that makes sense? You know what I'm saying? So I guess that's the key to life, what we looking for. You know what I mean? And I was just, I sometimes think about how I read the Bible and say, man, am I reading the Bible and basically, believing in something? But then I start to see what I'm reading in the Bible, so I know it's a living, active book. So now I move past the fact that I'll say, like, can I believe? Now I read the Bible in a totally different kind of space and with a different mindset to go into the Bible. I look at more for it to be helpful, not just for Peter Quillin, but for Gustavo. People that need to be helped because, where's your family? Where's your family from?
Yeah.
Where's your family from?
Originally from Mexico.
All right, they from Mexico, right? So more than likely, a parent like yours would probably have a God that was Mexican, right? And my God would be a black God, right? I just wanted to go past all that and say, what was the God that created all man? And so it's like you start to see color less and less. See, when you start to see color less and less, you can see for people for who they really are. You know what I'm saying? So that's why I've been on this wonderful journey.
Yeah, and as a playing two perspectives, as a fan, not being part of media and also being media, like it's like almost being a spectator to see the growth of yourself. And I think a lot of people now, we talked about fear. I think fear is a very
real thing.
Yeah, like when people hear fear, it's like, oh, I want to avoid it. Like, what can I do? And sometimes we talked about it way before this video, but fear, I feel like fear, if you have a fear, it's like me, and I'm gonna say it loud. I used to be scared of butterflies for like 6 years. I don't know for what reason, but I was scared. But once I overcame that fear and I was able to accept it and be like, hey, it's just an animal. Well, what real harm can it do at the end of the day? And I think sometimes people, based on society, like rejected. People just don't want to feel that down again, which is, in other words, it could be all right, but then again, it should kind of give you another purpose. Be like, this is not what I want to do. Like, I want to be in control of your own destiny, and what you're doing, you control your own destiny, and you are where you are today. Beautiful family, you got your own house, and you have things outside of boxing. Myself, I'm still establishing that. I have things that.
But I'm telling you, the victory's won by you already having a mindset that's different from many kids in Mexico.
Yeah.
So you win in that life. So,
yeah.
I think I was talking to a friend. And remind y'all, I don't be talking like this with just, I'm talking like I was on a phone call with my friend talking like this, but, I'd rather die with purpose than being killed before I found it.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? So I guess it's just all on the person. But I think, honestly, when I look at you, brother, you know what I'm saying, I see great things from you.
Yeah.
So that's how I view you. So I think sometimes you should take what people look at you and don't believe in unless you test it yourself.
Mm-hmm.
And just prove to yourself that what you are doing is great. And go learn about stories from people where you from. And so that's what I feel my job is, because I taught people that, boxing is physical, but I was always fighting spiritual because I had dealt with demons behind the scenes that I was learning how to beat them up. You know what I'm saying? That I think is important now. Once you learn how to overcome, you got to give that wisdom to somebody else that's overcome. Because you think about me becoming a boxer, me becoming a world champion, that's a challenge. But people are facing addiction, right? People are facing loneliness. People fighting depression, right? These are real fights in society that makes me and him the same. It don't make a difference that are common good and liking boxing together or me being a participant, but all of us being how I'm relaying my job and what I'm trying to do to get back to the world. You know what I'm saying? I don't look at it as vanity. If you look at anybody that's used boxing for their vein, they go higher and higher and higher and higher and higher. I want you to ask them this question. Ask them, tell me, what kind of things do you believe in God? What kind of things do you believe in God? If it's got to do with self, right? Let me give you an example of what I mean. I lost to Angulo. Right? When I went to Angulo, after the Angulo fight, I felt like I was doing, because, I got 37 fights.
Correct.
2 of my fights in my whole career was only dedicated to God. That was the only 2 fights I ever dedicated to God. And I'll tell you, those fights, one fight went good. That's with Jillian Love. And then the next one will be with Angulo. And I came up short, but I went to God and I said, God, why? I did everything to praise your name and everything. Tell me if this doesn't make sense that I read this. walking in the parking lot by myself alone.
Wow.
Right? After the fight, I didn't want to be around nobody.
Yeah.
Let me see. Hold on.
While you do that, let me just. Yeah. Hello. Yep.
So after losing to Angulo, when you ask a question because you think, especially if you ever heard somebody talking about God, they said the victory's already won. The victory's never done in yourself. It's done for the sake of your peace, but it's not done for anything vanity that you receive or like a thing that you can praise or worship. So even a victory and a win can be worship and praise. And I'm not telling you you're not supposed to, but what about some people that's that don't have food to even? It's fighters out here they don't even hardly got a meal to eat, but they box because they think that's what they're supposed to be doing. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, correct.
That's what I think about when I say this. So when I say the sting of death is sin and the power of sin, which brings death, is the law. But thanks be to God, He gives us the victory as conquerors through our Lord Jesus Christ. Therefore, my beloved brothers and sisters, be steadfast, immovable, always excelling in the work of the Lord. Always, right? It says, doing more than this. I said, excelling at the work of the Lord, always doing your best and doing more that is needed, being continually aware that your labor, even to the point of exhaustion, in the Lord is not futile nor wasted or without purpose. See, that's vanity. That's what it say. Your work in the Lord is not done in vain. A man making empty promises said, "I'm gonna win, Lord, and I wanna receive this. I wanna receive what I work for."
Yeah.
And the victory ain't always that. You might get victory in losing, and whoever it is, but it's always about the higher self, the higher consciousness of self.
Yeah.
So
It's more important, I think. It's just depending how you take it. Like I said, for many of us, we take your example as a bad situation, and you say to yourself, "Man, it's over. Like I just lost. Like my career's done." But you took that 3 levels beyond, and you said to yourself, "There was a purpose."
yes,
As you
it's a
said, vanity. So, it's amazing, to be honest, to see somebody like yourself have that process, have that experience. Except, what I'm hearing is like you question yourself why when you did everything right, but then again,
I get every answer answered. Every
exactly.
time. Every time. I don't have no unanswered. I don't have no questions about my past, what I've been through, who I was, who I've been, where I'm going. I don't have those questions. Every day is a day at a time, and I'm taking everything serious. Every moment in my life, I take it as serious as a middleweight champion fighter.
Okay. In terms of just, let's talk about. I know it's a little sensitive in terms of COVID-19.
Right.
A lot of mixed reactions. People not working, people not following the protocols, right? Not quarantining themselves correctly. For your experience, what should we take out of this in positive ways? Because I think it's easier to look at the news and look at all the people that are unfortunately passing away from this. Oh, we're looking at, oh, this person says this or this. Like, what are some positive things that we could look moving forward currently today as we're doing this video, and maybe 6 months from now in life?
All right. So what I would say is, I gave you a Jew, one of the Jews. What was the Jew? One of the Jews where I told you I want you to do this week. The number two key.
Pray for growth.
But what's the number 2? What I told you what you need to do this week.
Do I really believe that God wants to give me good things,
right?
And what might help me with them circumstances?
I said what might help me to be happy.
Gotcha.
And thankful in all circumstances.
Okay.
You want to look to be thankful in all your circumstances.
Okay.
When I'm telling you right now, it's like you got to be for sure. Like nothing is promised tomorrow, but today is, because we have it. Tomorrow is not promised. It's not here yet. The past is gone. How many people that still live in their past?
A lot of people.
They stuck there.
Yeah.
They would never have a future. You know what I'm saying? So we got to be present here. Take every moment as serious, and You know, from a believer, a big believer in God, I believe everything is already planned and predestined. God said He appointed times for you. So now, instead of walking with anxiety, which I did suffer from, I stopped trying to get ahead of God's timing and just let God's timing be what it is and deal with the moment. And if you hear, like, that's why fear is so dangerous, because fear don't always go realistic with your reality. You separate the fear and the reality. You just make what's fearful, and that's imagination, right? But I'm gonna give you an example. If I gave you a thing where my imagination said, you can imagine, right? You can count $1 every day you live, right? And
Yeah.
you get to pick. How old would you be and how many dollars would you count?
So like currently right now?
Yeah, with me asking you that question.
Can you repeat the question again?
How many times would you count $1? When would you stop counting? If you had being able to get $1 every day and you could just live, how many dollars would you have to need to be able to live?
I mean, I count to my life to my end of my lifetime.
See, the thing is, like, we come up with imagination. We think of a number that basically is not something we can't even get stuck on. We don't get stuck on numbers with imagination. That's why if a person is focused and his imagination tells him he's going to be a millionaire, he don't make it realistic because he's not going to school. He just sit there and smoke weed and drink, right? So how is he going to be a millionaire if he's sitting on the couch and everything? So what I'm just trying to say is, like, everything that we do in life, sometimes we got to kind of know why we're doing it. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, yeah.
And imagination, what I'm saying about imagination is, like, if you imagining things and you know if you're basing it on reality, how you know you're just not making up an imaginary world that you just live in by yourself? You know what I'm saying? So we want to make it realistic. We want to make it reality. What's reality for me? Pete, what can you do after? But you know, I can be a world champion, and yeah, I could. Well, how about this? I could be a 5-time world champion again. And then you start on the process making imagine. For me, that's irreal. You know, not realistic, because it's like, how, like, if I say I'm gonna be a world champion in 5 different weight classes, but it's like I got some type of hidden agenda to prove that I'm gonna do it, or it's wrong, or it's just like no purpose at all.
Yeah.
But with that imagination, not make it realistic. But I can be another world champion. I'm still young enough. I could probably get one world champion. You know what I'm saying? That's more realistic than setting the bar way too high by telling myself what I was doing. That's unrealistic.
Like we used to have a 5 division world champion. Okay,
Yeah.
okay.
And in the same way, when somebody give you advice, it's dangerous because they're giving you sometimes advice from imagination. They don't think about how many people actually take their own advice.
They don't.
That's the point of why we go to people for advice then.
Yeah.
You know, so we got our own answers. Fear, when we we have an imagination about fear, we already think about the worst case scenario. When that's not realistic. We thinking about this, like, when you think about COVID, right? My fear of COVID is like, man, if I get it, I can die. That's realistic enough because it's a lot of people, but I am gonna get it and I am gonna die is a different kind of fear.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, that is definitely true. It's just the way
You
perceiving it, correct? Yeah. As
So that's why you use the book
Yeah.
of the Bible, because it's protecting your belief system under believing in God. So when you got a belief system in God, and if you ask about God to anybody, people put a half understanding in God, not a full understanding to get all your answers. See, I got all my answers answered. I know the loss to Danny Jacob, I can live with that. Lost to Angle, I can live with that. World champion, whatever the case, whatever they can say, I can live with all that thing, because I know everything's appointed by God.
Yeah.
And I just hope in return what I could do is put the character that I learned from God by reading the word, by being patient, long suffering. Long suffering is when you can be suffer for a long time and still have a good attitude about it.
Wow.
You know what I mean?
That
You
is-
know it's in the Bible.
Yeah, definitely. That's, like I said, I'm 30 minutes doing this interview and I'm really like asking these questions and even more to kind of elaborate purpose today and 5, like you said, be realistic. You know, for me, it's like today and what's my purpose 2022.
How about like this? You so young,
Yeah,
a yacht of man, even men that's my age don't get it.
yeah,
So if you on that road now, being at your age, doing least to your best is never gonna be good enough.
yeah.
Remember that. Doing least to your very best
At least to your very best. Okay.
is never good enough. But guess what?
Yeah.
Doing your best is always good enough.
Doing your best is good enough.
Yes.
Definitely good enough. Yeah. That is definitely and I think that's been applied. You know, when you, it's like I use an example a lot, and it's terms of, if you put 100% into something, you're gonna get 100% back to it. Or if I tell a lot of people, because even me, when I share my words of wisdoms, not that I'm being very reserved, but it's more like, who am I going to share these words with and why? So when people tell me, how do you make this happen? How did you do this all out of nowhere? Like, you didn't even go to school for this, for journalism, for media, whatever, in terms of content. And I say to myself, it was based on raw talent, and also because I firmly believed in it. And every advice I tell people that wants to get into whatever they want to do, starting their own stuff, I always tell them, you know, how committed are you? How committed are you? They're like, oh, I'm gonna do half and half. Then don't get mad when you get half percent back. You know, I always say to yourself, you know, plants and flowers are very beautiful. And I tell them, when you want to produce a flower, what happens? It starts to a seed or some sort. It has to grow, right? They're like, yeah. So what do you got to do? Feed it water. I'm like, okay. You keep feeding it water. What happens? It's gonna grow little by little until it finally produces to what it's supposed to be.
That's probably one of the best parts of that part that we lose focus on.
Yeah.
Want me to tell you what that is?
Yeah.
We do everything to grow the plant, grow the flower to be what it is. But when it's grown and blooms, we forget about its beauty.
Yeah. That is definitely true. You know, and you know, I always tell them, you know, the minute, for example, too, like the similarity, the minute you stop feeding it, or for example, it just dies, and you went beyond to say, when it's developed, you forget about it, and then you know, eventually
That's
that.
what it is.
Yeah, and I always compare that for life, because I feel like every day I'm growing. I'm 25, and one thing I accept is that every day you learn something. Every day you apply something in life. Every individual you meet is for a reason. It's for a purpose. At the moment, you might not know what's the purpose, or what is it that the role they might play into your life, but eventually you'll find out.
But I'm telling you, right, Gustavo, there's not a lot of good people like you in the world.
Oh no.
Because you know why? Because if you come into people and thinking that that's how you want to think about a person, that's A1.
Yeah.
But it's hard to have people around you that have hidden agendas around you.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So yeah, we want to see the good. What I mean is, like, you gave the analogy as like you grow the flower and it does other, and I brought up the analogy that you completely get about its beauty, right?
Yeah.
I'm just telling you, like, the more conversation we have like this, it's just helping to understand the more work that we got to do. It's always work to be done. It's never going to finish.
Never gonna finish, and it's a lot of conversations to talk about. So, and another thing for me, like, we would make this lastly in this part of the channel. You talked about how self-growing, but then with growing comes, as you say, not a lot of people like myself that don't like to see you kind of prosper than others. And I've witnessed that in my academic years in high school, all the peers I used to hang out with, and also like what I'm doing now in my other channel, where competition is really good, but then again, like, it could be a very dangerous thing, because when people start hating on you, they see that you're coming, they'll do anything to put you down. Like, no, we need to get him out. Like, we need to get him out, or before he's too big that we can't control. And I feel like, for me, you use the word of the loss to Angulo in terms of, you know, you took it and you accepted it for what it is, and you didn't look at it as a bad thing. It was just part of the path of what God has had you for, right? And for me, it was like, what is it that people get mad about? At the end of the day, we're all doing the same thing. Everybody has different content, and we all can eat. And
it goes back to imaginary reality. I mean, people making a imaginary reality, living in this false world.
Yeah.
So I'm glad that I'm talking to you, because you let me know by the questions and your responses that what kind of person you are. You're revealing the person that you are, whatever answer you answer.
Yeah.
So I guess to the point, I said what I would say is, like, plant your seed around good soil.
Yeah.
Don't put yourself around people where, and the Bible talks about planting your seeds around thorn bushes and thickets. So when it grows, it's going to rip apart, because the environment that the plant is growing in is not good for it.
Yeah.
So plant your seeds in soil for it. Put yourself in ground where you're going to be able to grow and prosper a plant a flower that you're not gonna be able to forget the beauty of it. That's the beauty of life. That's life, right?
That is.
So like Jesus Christ, right? I look at him as the tree, right? The tree, the most important part of the tree is what part?
Brent.
The roots.
Oh, the roots. Okay, guys. Yeah.
What does the trunk determine? The activities of the tree, how it's gonna grow, right? And when it get up there, those branches of the tree, right?
Yeah.
They all part of the same tree, but they all different.
Yeah.
Right? That's the believer, that's God in the church. Jesus Christ is the root. He's the one that's gonna give you the nutrients, everything that you need. The base is gonna show your activity. You should have a good growing thing. You're gonna grow in something fertile straight up in the air.
Yeah.
Be majestic enough for people who see this beauty. But most importantly, those branches are other people and that you connected with.
Yeah.
That's being part of the same body.
Wow.
You know what I'm saying? So that's the belief system. It's just the whole tree. And the roots, all our information and all our nutrients, everything that we need are in the roots.
Wow.
So look at it like that. That's how God wants us to grow as people. We're going to grow like that tree. We got to be connected to something that's solid, like planted in solid ground for it to be able to grow, to see the majestic tree grow.
Yeah.
And be able to witness this beauty of it.
Yeah, wow.
But look at it how it relates to you. That's how you can see God. You see God by bird. You think the birds get up and worry about what they're going to get to eat in the morning time? They just go out there and get it.
Get it, yeah.
What about us? We worry about what we're going to eat for breakfast.
Yeah, that is definitely true. And I didn't even think about it like that. Now that I'm looking at the tree, like literally I'm looking at it up and each branch. Yeah.
And what makes this you think these trees arguing about what tree, who's a better tree?
No.
They all living in harmony together, right? We see a different tree there.
Yeah.
I wish people can live like that.
Yeah.
Blacks, whites, we can all be in the same ecosystem to be able to thrive with each other and receive the same sunlight.
Yeah. Yeah. That is definitely, I mean, there's a lot of things to get to that point in terms of a society aspect. But if it takes, like, for example, you and me, and just to pass that down to get at least 2 to 3 people to see that same ideas or perspectives to just kind of, as you say, like, eliminate the less color you see, the better. I think we're doing good in our part to just better the world in some way. As I say, the smaller pieces are the most important ones. Little, but surely it's gonna get there eventually. It's a long
Process.
Yeah, it's as many would say, oh man, that will never happen. It's got to start somewhere.
It does.
It's definitely got to start somewhere. So, it's been an honor, man. Like, honestly, I'm questioning a lot of things in terms of good things.
Well, can you do me a favor though?
Yeah.
Off the camera?
Yeah.
What I want you to do is I wanted to say off the camera.
Okay.
I want you to be able to call me and ask me any questions.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? You got my personal number.
Yeah.
I give you at any time of the night. Like I said, if I feel like everything is appointed by God, right?
Yeah.
Don't you think the moments and the time and the experiences I'm gonna have was appointed by God too?
Yeah.
I gotta put the godly experience that God wants me to put in that experience. So when you ministering to people, I'm gonna do it 3 ways: by what I say, by the way I walk, and by what I pray in private about. You know what I'm saying? So I'm covered.
Peter Quillin, AB, or y'all call me F1GHT1 GOOZE. It was a great chat. Bible study. I wrote my questions down. I'm definitely going to share with you guys after I get home. I'm definitely going to show you what I wrote. I kind of wrote what I wanted, and also what he's showing me, the 3 principles. I'm going to ask the questions. I'm going to actually apply it to my friends and see what they tell me. And like I said, I'll share it with you guys. If you guys want to write it down, comment everything below. And like I said, Peter, it was an honor. Thank you for literally like opening the doors for me. It's a pleasure.
You family now.
Thank you, man.
This moment right here just made them family.